Okay, good afternoon. Good morning, everybody. We're going to get started in this webinar. We expect it to go about 45 minutes ish, but we'll have time for questions at the end. If you have a question in this webinar or in the middle of it, feel free to ask a question. We kept this kind of informal so that we can kind of build more of like a community here and try and share as much insights as possible. Yeah, welcome and let's get started. So the first thing is, my name's Kyle Jacobson. I'm with Applica, and my partner Bart is on the call as well. He's just kind of listening in and probably jump in if he can add some additional advice. We started Applica about 1.5 years ago. We had spent the better part of 2 years researching, building tools for people who are kind of stuck in a job search that was very challenging. Over the last couple of years, we've talked to hundreds of job seekers. We have personally been looking for work ourselves at times, and so we know the challenges of what the job market looks like today. And we ended up building a product and a small company called Applica. We'll tell you a little bit about it at the end, but promise not too much arm twisting on that. And this webinar is primarily built off of all of that research that we've done and talking to all of the clients that we have serviced, and then also a recent survey that we had conducted, which we'll talk about those details. The agenda for today is 3 parts. The first part is going to be a look at the data that we have collected from our most recent survey that we ran earlier this month. We had about 70 respondents. We had actually really healthy amount of data there to help provide some guidance. Saw a lot of themes and a lot of consistency with what people were doing, how they were approaching their job search, and more importantly, how it made them feel, which we hope is going to help everybody here on this call who's looking for a job a bit more comfortable in terms of the fact that you might be validating a lot of the feelings that you have. The second piece is to talk about some of the tips or I wouldn't say tricks, but tips or tools, truths about what you can do to help improve your job search. And then at the very end, for just a moment, we'll share a little bit about Applica, but again, easy on the arm twisting. A few things, questions, as I mentioned, you can ask questions. In fact, you don't need to wait to the end. If you've got a question, just feel free to ask. We are recording this. We will share this out on social media over the next couple of weeks. Use the chat if you would like, or you just speak up, but definitely be candid. That's definitely does help other people in the community who are looking for jobs to understand how the challenges of others. At the end, we'll also share a free report to everybody who had signed up for the webinar, including those who are in attendance. Before we get into this is a stat we wanted to share with you. This is pretty consistent with what we have heard from all of our customers that we have been serving over the last year plus, is that almost 90% of people who are looking for jobs have felt like they've kind of hit a wall, or they kind of want to hit a wall because it's such a challenging job market. So you're probably, if you're looking for a job, you're probably feeling something very similar. And that's primarily driven by the fact that the job market is just a little bit upside down right now, particularly in the tech sector. A lot of our clients are coming from the tech sector. They are software engineers, project owners, project managers, marketers, product managers, operators. All of these individuals are feeling the same thing we have, which is tremendous job loss in the tech sector over the last couple of years. This chart here actually is a representation of data from a source called layoffs.fyi, which is a fantastic resource of really sad news, unfortunately, about what is happening in the tech sector. The most kind of interesting and very scary piece of this is that this year alone, just through, I think, Tuesday night, when I compiled all the data, there had been 114,000 people who had lost their jobs in the tech sector this year, which is 90% of all of 2025. So it is ramping up at a scale that is very scary. We probably will hit or exceed the number of layoffs that we saw in 2023, which was around 250,000 jobs lost during that time. It's very strange because other sectors in the economy are not feeling the same job crunch, but definitely in the tech sector. And each day, each week, we're hearing more about layoffs. March, as you can see, was particularly challenging, and probably by the end of the year, we're going to be very close to 1 million jobs lost since 2020. So it is very, very competitive. This is a market where there are some advantages if you are a fast mover, if you are willing to kind of spray your resume out, if you will, in the marketplace. And we'll talk a little bit about that in terms of tips. So the data, what the data has revealed, before we talk about that, let's talk about who responded to the survey that we ran. The survey we had 70 respondents. 80% of those respondents are actively searching for a job, whether they do have a job or they're actively searching. We treated them as the same. The surprising and very discouraging stat of 33% of those who had responded had been looking for a job for greater than 6 months. So it is a challenging job market, and one that we hear from our customers all the time. 70% of the people of the survey responded the very most challenging piece is breaking through the noise and getting people to respond to pretty much anything that you share. It's very, very frustrating for job seekers today, and we'll talk a little bit more about some anecdotal experiences that people will have with that. The job search and at this stage, and what we're facing right now is an emotional kind of like injury moment. It's very challenging. It's not necessarily logistical. It's not about not being able to apply to jobs. It's just having to deal and fight the emotional challenges of doing that. Almost 80% of the respondents suggest that have responded that their self-confidence has taken a hit. 67% of people, or 2/3 of people, suggest that their sleep has been disrupted. I've personally experienced that. It's very, very challenging. We got a stat a little bit later. It talks about sleep and the effect of the financial burden that you're carrying right now. Those two things are, it seems, very, very linked. 64% of the respondents have lost a daily routine, daily structure. One of those that we worry about the most is just physical and emotional health. So we had a few questions about that on the survey, but we definitely encourage people to stay as healthy as you can during this time. 100% of the respondents, no surprise, at least one area of their life has been affected. And it's no doubt, if you're looking for a job and you don't have one and money's tight, it is very, very discouraging. Dominant emotion is exhaustion. People feel exhausted by the job search, and for a variety of reasons. We'll talk about a few of those in just a few moments. Unfortunately, only 15% of those who responded feel motivated. Bart and I have done so much research on job search and the current kind of economy. Motivation is the number one key driver in success. If you can stay motivated, you will have success. But it is very hard because your motivation is going to get chipped away each day when you have a bad phone call, or you get, a response, or you get ghosted, or you get declined a job, or you spend a lot of time on a resume that you just never hear back on. People are just exhausted from their job search, and it makes sense. How people respond to the job search in the first few months is very, very interesting. We stacked up some of the data that we received. Is what we learned was the very first month, anxiety is very high. People are trying to figure out how much runway do they have. They're trying to tell their family members. They're trying to manage all of life, as well as the fact that they just lost their job and they need to do things. Now that starts to taper off and plateau, where about 50% of those individuals are still feeling anxious. But at the same time, an individual's kind of numbness of the job search, that starts to kind of creep up about the third month. And so those two seem to be somewhat kind of related. You can see hope on the right chart. You can see people are hopeful. Well, relatively speaking, I should say. These are two different scales. Note that on both charts. But motivation drops. And we see this with all of our customers about 90 days into not having a job. It's pretty typical, which is very, very unfortunate, because if you think about, and actually we'll talk maybe a bit about this a little bit later, it takes about 100 days to go from applying to a job to actually getting your first paycheck. So it could feel very demotivating if you're not getting the traction you want right out of the gate. But definitely people are trying to maintain hope. The big impact is just the draining of motivation. Burnout is absolutely something everybody is feeling, or at least an overwhelming majority. About 87% of people have said that they either have taken a break or would like to take a break. Some people, I don't know where these people are. They said they did not take a break whatsoever. 13% is. Those are some tough people, as what I would say. Either that, or they're not being truthful about the response. But people do get worn down. They do need to take a break. We hear this from our customers quite frequently, is they just need a moment to just step away. Some people will take a small trip or vacation just to get away from kind of the noise. Imposter syndrome is a default feeling from pretty much everybody looking for a job. 72% fear that they look less employable the longer it goes on. 69% feel underqualified for jobs they are certainly qualified for. We hear this consistently from our customers. 62% carry shame about the job search. We hear this too when we interview our customers and talk to them about how's this affecting their families. And in fact, if you go to our website, you can read some success stories about how their families reacted to all of this and how they were able to manage spending time with their loved ones at the same time looking for their job and trying not to influence the overall the overall demeanor of the household. 36% carry all three of these feelings at the same time. And so a lot of people are not feeling confident about what they can bring to the job market, unfortunately. Preparation is definitely something that people are feeling. It is really about breaking through, trying to get somebody to respond and get somebody to give them some advice. We've got some stats a little bit later on that will help you understand why this might be such an impactful thing for our respondents and for our clients. When we asked them what would be better, it wasn't necessarily more applications. They wanted more confidence. Quite honestly, from where we sit at Applica, we view that differently. We view it actually, applications is more important. than confidence. And I know that's very hard for people to get their heads wrapped around that, but that's true. A lot of times it's about confidence in their resume. As you can see here, 41% would like to feel more confident about the resume. And 21% would like to have better preparation for their interviews. That's pretty common. Like, a lot of people are not spending time working on their resume when they have a job. It doesn't happen very often that we're looking for a job, but when we are, we need to become experts very quickly about what does a good resume look like. We have an example resume that you might learn something from a little bit later, but this is kind of where people are are feeling kind of weak in with regard to how they spend their time. The job search is definitely a second job or a full-time, or at least a part-time job. 43% suggest that they spend at least 2 hours a day working on their job, while 15% spend at least 4 hours a day. These were lower numbers than we've historically seen with our customer base. Our customers suggest that they look for jobs a little bit longer. It's really quite fascinating to kind of see how some of the data has shifted. But in all of the research we've done over the last year and a half, it suggests that people are spending more time than this. And I think what happens is, a lot of times, it's very difficult to delineate spending time thinking about it, which is all the time, or spending time actually doing something, which is kind of what the survey was getting at. So this might be the result of that might explain why we got kind of similar or disparate results for the survey and our client base. Tracking, this is something you will hear from us a little bit later. We'll talk about this. Tracking your resume, your applications is very, very important. 62% of respondents suggest or have responded that they have lost track of where they had applied, at least, kind of occasionally. About 38% of people are using a spreadsheet, which is kind of a low-cost solution. 26 don't track at all. 21 use email or calendar, which quite honestly is not tracking either. Only 6% use dedicated job search tools. We strongly encourage everybody on this call, everybody who watches this webinar in the future, to use a tool that it helps you manage all of that. Applicant provides one. Whether you use our tool or somebody else's, it's to your benefit to do this, and it's going to save you a lot of time and energy. So consider finding the right tool for what your needs are, and we'll show you a little bit kind of the way our product works. But this is important because a lot of times you're going to get a screening call to go to an interview, and you're not going to be able to find the job description anymore. You're going to walk into those interviews blind, which is not a very positive position to start from when you start your interview process. So we recommend tracking that tool and using a tool that helps you collect all the information about what that job is. All right, financial pressure. Everybody is feeling this. Quite honestly, I think everybody, whether you got a job or not right now, everybody's kind of feeling the pinch. But if you don't have a job, it is incredibly challenging in today's economy to have to deal with what's happening. 80% of our respondents are under some form of financial pressure. I would say it's like 60 to 70% are extreme. They're feeling extreme pressure. And so if you're feeling that yourself, it's pretty normal and pretty typical. If you noted a few moments ago, it takes about 100 days to go from job application to your first paycheck. So make sure that you're doing everything to budget your money accordingly, and look for ways to save money through spending and whatnot. I'm not the best in terms of financial advisement there, but people are dipping into their savings without a doubt to do this. The other piece that I advise everybody to do is, if you lose your job, you're eligible for unemployment, apply for it. It's a lot of our clients have reported that they did not do this, and I suspect it's mostly because of this feeling of shame for needing a handout. Keep in mind, if you have a real job who's paying payroll taxes and taxes both to the state, to the government, federal governments, you are paying into what's called unemployment insurance, and you are eligible to those benefits. You've already paid into it, so if you need that money, if you need that help, um, make sure that you apply. Now, I say that with a caveat. If you apply for unemployment insurance, you must have proof that you've been applying to jobs pretty much every week, because that's the standard practice, is to file for unemployment each week. If you're not tracking the jobs you apply to, it's going to be very challenging to apply for unemployment insurance. So make sure that you're going back a couple of slides, track the jobs that you applied to, so it makes it easier for you to apply for unemployment. Sleep impact by financial tier. If you are in financial difficulty, you are not sleeping as well as you used to. I went through this last year. I know how tough this is. Bart has gone through this, my partner Bart. We have both gone through this ourselves. And yeah, you're definitely losing sleep each and every day. It's very exhausting. And if you're feeling this, you're not alone. A couple of other insights from our survey. Ghosting is definitely prevalent. It's very frustrating. If you spend 10, 15 minutes responding to questions that are, tell us, why do you want to work at X company, or what about the mission at this company excites you, and then you hear nothing, very frustrating. I personally had an experience where I applied to an organization. I got all the way to the final stage, never heard anything again. Not a response, not a no thank you, just ghosted. And so people are feeling that all across that hiring spectrum, from job application all the way to the final round. And if you felt it, you're not alone. A lot of candidates shared with us the belief that the jobs that are being posted are fake. And at Applica, we do services. We'll apply for you on your behalf if you would like. So we apply to thousands of jobs pretty much monthly. And what happens is we see the same jobs getting posted over and over and over again. There is truth to this feeling right here, that there are a lot of fake jobs out there. There are two types of fake jobs. The first one is a company that wants to look like they're growing. They'll continue to either leave a job posting open, or they'll actually repost it. The second type of fake posting are people who are trying to source information from you, whether it's a resume or something else. So if you felt like that might be the case, it definitely is true. And in fact, I would even argue anybody who claims that they are a third-party recruiter, those are the type of individuals that I would personally stay away from. All they're doing is collecting your resume and passing it over. Very little success and yield on that return. All right, so if that's what people are feeling, what works? Here's some data for you, or continued, I should say, information for you. This will hopefully put things into perspective. If you're making a cold application, if you're sending a cold application to a company you've not been able to network into, it's pretty typical. You can expect a 1% to 2% hit rate or success rate that you're going to get a screening call. This is pretty much universal for everything that we've seen for all of our customers. There are some individuals with specific skills, like software engineers tend to be around 3% to 4%, but it's not significantly that much higher. There's just that much competition. If you recall back to one of the first slides with the number of people looking for jobs right now, there's a lot of competition. About 60 days to go from screening call to receiving an offer, and again, 100 days from application to first paycheck. So what you're going to end up doing is going through about 4 to 6 different interviews, depending on the type of job you're applying to. And that final round is more competitive than ever. What we hear from lots of recruiters who are in-house recruiters for companies that are hiring is they'll bring usually four candidates to the final round, which is far more competitive than it was in 2022, where it was just one, maybe two people in the final round. So it is a flooded market, and everybody who's in the job market should be approaching this kind of flooded job market with the same mentality. And here's a few tips about that. First one, speed beats polish. Don't spend all your time doing special things to your resume. Apply as quickly as you can with the best resume you got. There are some exceptions. I'll walk you through those in just a moment, but apply the same day. Wake up every morning, look back 24 hours in whatever tool you're using. We have a recommendation on a great tool in just a few minutes, but look back 24 hours, apply to the jobs, and then go on about your day. Filter for speed. This is another area that you can save some time. Nobody wants to do a Workday application. I don't blame you. I never did either. So filter those out. We'll show you how you can filter those out using a third-party tool that we recommend. And stop over perfecting your resume. It doesn't provide that much additional lift. So don't be afraid to throw a resume out there, even if it's not picture perfect, because speed is certainly more important. Save yourself some time in the morning. Start with a product. We get nothing from this. From this team here in terms of a relationship. We recommend to everybody use Hiring Cafe. It is a fantastic job search tool. It's a job board, but you can filter out tools like Workday, iCIMS, Oracle, Paycor, UKG. If you're not familiar with these applicant tracking tools, they are some of the oldest, worstest applicant tracking tools out there. Stay away from them if you can. And Hiring Cafe does that, or they will allow you to do that with their easy apply only feature. So wake up in the morning, don't start with a Workday application, filter them out, and then circle back to them if you need to. And you'll have more success with your job search. Volume, without a doubt, volume is beating tailoring in today's job market. A lot of people were arguing we need to tailor everything. We've got AI. AI can help you tailor. It can help you tailor faster. It's very true, but at the same time, it can get you caught in some very difficult positions, and it'll slow you down. We recommend build one resume that you use 90% of the time. It's going to speak to the type of role that you're looking for, whether you're a product manager or you're an operations manager. It's the same kind of keywords that you need to utilize there. Create 2 to 3 specific versions that are going to be specific to an industry. I've got some suggestions on that in just a second. The one takeaway here that we recommend is apply broadly and tailor that resume moderately. And who cares if they say no? It's just a robot that's looking at your resume. So it's okay if they reject you. We suggest to all of our customers, in today's economy, in today's market, apply to 7 jobs. You're going to be ahead of everybody, all of your cohorts that are looking for jobs. Industries where a unique resume might be helpful: cybersecurity, healthcare, fintech / people tech. So these industries are looking for very specific keywords. If you have experience with these industries and you're looking in those industries, you should have a resume designed for that. You can see all of these specific keywords that we have listed out here. These are just suggested words, but like to the right-hand side, you have KYC, know your customer, or anti-money laundering. You have there under fintech. Like those are keywords that these tools are looking for. And we see most of the time a lot of success if you create a resume that is designed specific for those industries. The third thing that might help is the applicant tracking tool is it is the gatekeeper. So work around that gatekeeper, and some of those gatekeepers are better than others. When I started my career, I was building integrations with all of the applicant tracking tools that existed at the time. That most of those have been sunset or consumed by other companies. And I can tell you that since then, I've not seen the quality of these tools get any better. All they did was slap AI on top of it, which made it kind of worse. My recommendation, or our recommendation, applicant, apply anyway. Who cares if they say no? Keep your resume formatting plain. Again, I'll walk you through a resume in just a moment. Yeah, I think that's probably the kind of like the key pieces that we'll talk about on that slide. This is important though, this one here. So we did a deep dive in all of the data that we have in Applica, and we tried to study what are the most popular applicant tracking tools that are out there right now. And these are the four: Greenhouse, Lever, Workday, Ashby. They go in order from left to right here in terms of popularity, and they represent about 73% of a typical job posting. So take your resume, throw it, or go do a little research on each of these about how your resume might be able to help, or to kind of bypass that first stage. We've done this research. I can tell you, generally speaking, the requirements of each of these applicant tracking tools are actually very similar. One key note is Workday really relies heavily on keywords, while the rest of them rely heavily on keywords and metrics. Those are the two pieces that are most kind of critical. So keep in mind, when you're applying to these type of jobs, you might run into one of these more than the other. If you're looking for a job at a large company, you're going to run into Workday, unfortunately. Interview prep is definitely something that we recommend that people do. We provide a tool for it. We're not going to show you what that looks like. You can go learn about it on our website, but try to record what you can. What I like to do, and what I recommend people do, is download an app. It's free. It's called Granola. Put it on your phone, especially if you are on a remote interview, and record it, and then save the notes, because it's going to transcribe everything for you. Use those notes to craft thank you letters, etc., and never lose your place with what conversations you had with people. But definitely prepare for the interview as best as you can, and your resume should help you do that. We'll talk about what we suggest called career highlights. You should know what your story is going into those interviews. And again, track everything that you can. This is key. If you are tracking who you applied to, when you applied, you will always know how to improve and how to iterate both your resume and your job search. You'll be able to look at different tools, and you'll be able to understand how effective you are, and how active you are, which is also very important. The final piece here, before we look at the resume, is just protect yourself. Protect your health is what we suggest to people. When you're in your job search, it can be very, very overwhelming. A lot of people will lose track of physical activity, or staying healthy, or doing activities and hobbies that are helpful for you to just kind of stay sane. We suggest that if you are not doing so, to do it. Take a day off. Talk to somebody. This is something that not a lot of people are doing in terms of what their job search is, how it's going. Perhaps look to find the job search buddy. It doesn't hurt to compare notes occasionally, and get out and get some exercise. All right, resume breakdown. A few pieces that I want to highlight here, and then we're going to go into the very final step, and then we can ask for questions. Note that the resume format is very limited in colors and sections. If you're a designer, if you're a creative, this is important to you, because historically speaking, you were allowed to create very nice looking resumes. It's not the case anymore. These applicant tracking tools are looking for word-based documents, just like this one, where there's just mostly words. So keep the sections very simple to read, interpret, and understand. Experience level and jobs that you want should be right up front. It should be this headline right here. How much experience do you have? And what type of jobs are you looking for? This is not necessarily for applicant tracking tools. This is for HR leaders to verify that they've got the right person for this. These are keywords that are your main keywords. Now, keywords are sprinkled throughout the resume, and if you don't have enough space, guess what? We recommend you add methodologies and technical skills or some headline like that, which is more about just kind of like a dump of all of the tools you're familiar with or processes. And then leadership competencies. It could be marketing competencies or managerial competencies. It could be whatever you label it, just kind of another couple of sections for keywords. Having more than one page on your resume is probably best right now. That wasn't necessarily the cool thing to do a couple of years ago, but 2 to 3 pages is totally acceptable. The summary piece is pretty typical, but this is what we hear and see a lot, is that job seekers are using AI to create this, and we recommend that you need to handwrite this. Even if it's if AI is helping you, that's fine. Just make sure that it does not read like a machine wrote it. Career highlights. These are the stories you need to be prepared to tell this organization that you have an interview with. So these are basically, this is a bulleted list of all of the items that are also listed down here. And these are the stories you should be prepared to talk about. And provide good examples about how you were able to accomplish these items and how they translate into the job you're seeking. One item that we hear regularly is that once this job application or this resume gets to a human being, they don't want to understand they don't want to have to go research what this company did. So tell them, VC-backed fintech platform enabling faster payroll and mid-market employers. There's a one-liner that tells them, okay, fintech, mid-market, VC-backed. Now I have a really good snapshot. I don't need to go and research that. The last piece I'm going to mention is stats and keywords. These are critical. You should be trying to drive as many numbers and stats into your resume. A lot of times people don't have the luxury of having these stats. And I hate to say make it up, but in some cases, take some liberties and add some stats in there and do your best guess. Talk to former colleagues that might have some insight to see if they feel like your number is a solid representation of the work that was done. So that's the conclusion of our webinar. We talked about the material, about what we got from our job seekers survey, and then also some of tips that we recommend to our clients. We're going to switch gears now just for a moment and talk about Applica, because this is something we're very proud of. Applica is a tool designed for job seekers. And Wilma dropped a note about keeping numbers on and stats. Yeah, I feel you on that. Sometimes talk to your former teammates. They might provide something, or take some liberties and see how it feels and go from there is what I would recommend. Back to Applica, 3 plans. So if you are needing to do this job search yourself, no problem. We provide a free product. It provides easy tracking of all of your information. Everything is organized and streamlined in one tool, and we help you maintain not only a list of all the jobs you've applied to, but also help you keep all of your interviews in line, because as soon as the interviews start to happen, it can get pretty hectic in terms of what's happening on what day, and we help you with that. We have an essential package. This is, again, do-it-yourself package. This really helps you not only stay organized, not only track, but apply much, much faster, spend less time each day looking for jobs, and put your best foot forward, because our tool allows you to analyze job descriptions to your current resume and suggest some improvements that you might want to consider making to your resume. We also provide interview prep guides for you. We also provide multiple profiles, so you can run multiple resumes at the same time, particularly if you're looking in jobs for individual contributors or leadership roles, or maybe product manager versus product owner, or I should say project manager. And we also keep everything, all the status updated on everything. So if you get a reject, we mark it in the system so you always know where you are with your job search and how many applications you have out. The last product that we offer, it's just an extension of Applicant's base product, is called App Booster. We have a team of individuals who are HR tech, have HR tech backgrounds, and they will take your resume. You tell us where you want us to apply to, what jobs to find, and we will do that for you. That's a 30-day package. So if you're interested in that, we'd be happy to share that with you. We're always looking for inspiration. We're always looking for success stories because they do make us feel like there is a little bit of hope. We have crafted quite a few success stories. Go to our website, getapplicant.com. There are some success stories on there. You can read about some of the challenges, all the way from, the effect it was having on my family, up to, how people approach their job search. Particularly Riley's story is very, very interesting, very scientific in how he approached his job search, and he ended up getting the job that he wanted, which was fascinating because it was against pretty much all of the odds, but he did a fantastic job in his job search.